Throughout the past year, I've talked quite a bit about demons that I'd love to see in Megami Tensei, and I've even talked about a few specifically chosen by viewers like you. Whenever I decide I'm going to talk about a demon in one of those videos, I always try to make sure that the figure hasn't actually appeared anywhere in the franchise, because you'd be surprised how many figures are technically part of Megami Tensei, but are only available in games like Majin Tensei, Goetian Megami Tensei, and of course, Devil Children, aka DemiKids. While there are many DemiKids demons that are just more cartoony looking versions of figures that we may be familiar with in the bigger series like SMT or Persona, the DemiKids series also has a wide range of distinct figures of mythological origin that may legitimately surprise you. Like, did you know that DemiKids featured the mascots of some random parody manga as official demons? Yeah, that's a thing that happened. They're not part of this list or anything, I just thought it was neat. So, since I love DemiKids, and I love talking about demons, today I'm here to go over 10 demons that are trapped in DemiKids, meaning that their only appearances in all of Megami Tensei has been in titles from this specific series. Now, normally when I do lists like this, I do have a rule to only use one figure from a given pantheon, but DemiKids has a lot of Japanese demons, and I kinda want to talk about more than one of them today. Oh, and if anybody is wondering why I'm calling it DemiKids instead of Devil Children, it's for the same reason why I say Pokemon instead of Pocket Monsters. Alright, let's get started. Did you all know that the King Frost design most of us are familiar with is actually his DemiKids design? And heck, Frost Ace is a DemiKids original. So, you know who else we should get? Petite Frost, or Mini Icy as he's known in the English version. I mean, just look at this thing! It's Jack Frost, but even tinier! You all know I'm a big fan of the Frost demons, and this seems like a good starter demon to focus on. You wouldn't even really have to change its design at all, this just already works. Frankly speaking, I think I already made the perfect argument for this thing back in 2020. Take it away, me.
It's like if Baby Yoda and Baby Sonic had a baby, and that baby killed and ate Baby Mr. Peanut.
Yes. That aged well. Hey, real quick, if you like what I'm doing here, please consider commenting, subscribing, and maybe even checking out the Patreon. It really does help a lot. Alright, moving on. Journey to the West is one of the largest and most important stories in literary history, and we've seen Sun Wukong in so many titles by now. However, what about some of the other major characters in this fable? When's the last time you remember seeing any of them? While several Journey to the West characters appear in DemiKids, the truth is that a lot of them also appear in Persona 2. However, Gyu Mao, or Bulmax as he was known in the English version, is the well-known and highly regarded Ox King. This demon is one of the more popular characters in the story, and even develops a strong friendship with Wukong, so I'd love to see him incorporated into other series, and maybe even give him and the Monkey King a bit of interaction with one another. Remember in Shin Megami Tensei 4 when they made chemtrails into a demon and people thought it was kinda cool and interesting to see essentially a conspiracy theory made into a demon? Well, that wasn't even the first time this has happened, as we've also seen the elusive and mysterious Skyfish appear. Skyfish, sometimes known as sky rods, are a supposed being in cryptozoology that are invisible to the human eye, but do appear on cameras. They have an elongated appearance with some sort of fins or frill around them. Now, the boring explanation for these things is that it's basically just motion blur captured on film from fluttering insects like moths. But come on, we all know that invisible flying fish are way more fun, and that's basically what we've got here. While there are artist depictions of the rods, and frankly I think Doi could make something interesting based on that, the DemiKids design is already pretty solid on its own, with it clearly based on the shark mouth nose art seen on a lot of World War II fighter jets. It's a distinct and unique type of cryptid that's actually already well known in a lot of Japanese media, ranging from Castlevania to JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. So why can't we see it in other series? Unless it's already there, and we just can't see it because it's invisible. Yep, another strain list, another Goetian demon. I'm always going to push to get as many of these as possible in the bigger series in the franchise, so let's start with Bothin, the Great Duke of Hell, with 30 legions of demons under his command. He has extensive knowledge of herbs and gemstones and can also teleport men from one country to another, which seems oddly limiting. So like, okay, he could send me from Florida to Canada, but not Florida to Alaska? But could he just send me from Florida to Canada and then Canada to Alaska? I don't know. I don't get this power. Seems like a weird power. While I actually do kind of like his DemiKids design of what looks like a grumpy train conductor riding on some sort of demon skull bumper car, it's not really accurate to his lore, as he's usually seen as a man with a snake tail riding upon a pale horse. He'd certainly be overdue for a redesign, but I like what Doi did with Glacialabolas, another recently DemiKids exclusive Goetian demon, so I trust him with this one as well. The Megami Tensei franchise has its fair share of folk heroes from around the world, ranging from Fionn McCool to Siegfried, but some people may notice one noteworthy figure seems absent. Gilgamesh, widely believed to be the first literary hero dating back thousands of years, is in MegaTen, but only DemiKids for some reason. This ancient Mesopotamian hero exists in some of the oldest surviving scripture of our history, and he serves as a constant reminder of humanity's vain drive for power and immortality, which, thanks to the work of historians, he has sort of achieved. Truthfully, a few of you actually requested this hero for my Myths for MegaTen series because, yeah, it is bizarre that such a legendary hero is relegated to this smaller side series in the franchise. Gilgamesh would be an incredible addition to any title, whether it's as a demon or a persona or what have you. Also, did you know that despite Grendel being a fairly recurring demon, Beowulf is trapped in Last Bible 3? Maybe mark that down as a future series to look at too. Let me ask you something important. Awella, don't you know about the bird? Well, everybody knows that the bird is the word. Yep, that's right, I'm talking about birds again. Hooty in DemiKids may seem like a very cute and simple little baby owl in a diaper and bib with an even cuter, tinier bird on it, but when you look further into it, this is kind of a weird, messed up one. To use its full name, the Tatari Moke is a Japanese ghost story. These are the spirits of babies that were murdered by their parents who couldn't afford to feed them, and they were reborn as owls. They don't physically appear any different from normal owls, but they will haunt their former parents and unleash their loud cries throughout the night. Cries that sound exactly like that of a human child. While obviously I'd expect Doi to redesign it if we saw it in another series, I think they're definitely on the right track of blending the owl with baby elements. The Loch Ness Monster is such an iconic and well-renowned myth that it's really strange to me that we haven't seen more of this thing. Like, yeah, Nessie herself is in DemiKids, and she looks like Nessie. Maybe this creature isn't as popular in Japan, but when you think cryptid, the Loch Ness Monster is usually in like the top 3 things that come to mind. She's usually depicted as a long-necked plesiosaur-like being, and that's exactly what she is in DemiKids. Frankly, I really don't think they'd need to change much here, but I would love to see such a world-renowned and beloved cryptid make her way into other entries in the franchise. A small touch that I actually really love in her DemiKids design is the blue and white stripes on her tail that might be in reference to Scotland's flag. So if they do bring her back, I'd like to see something like that kept in an updated design. One of my favorite things about Megami Tensei demons is that they can kinda come from anywhere, right? You can have well-established Norse gods like Odin, or you can have broader mythological creatures like gnomes. But one thing about DemiKids that you'd think would make sense is that since this is a series clearly meant for a slightly younger audience, that they would try to not use figures that are too obscure or based on things that children likely don't have any familiarity with. I don't really have a good segue for this, but Copelia is from an 1800s French ballet about a man who falls in love with a robotic dancing doll and a woman who disguises herself as the doll so that the two of them can fall in love, and holy crap, look, I love that this exists. The DemiKids design is already really solid, and it's a robotic and fairly unsettling looking ballet dancer. This is just such a fun and creative source of inspiration for a MegaTen demon, and not only would I love to see Copelia in other series, I'd love for this to open the gate for other figures from ballets, theater, and opera throughout history and cultures, like, oh my god, look, I couldn't not mention this one, I just had to talk about her. While acknowledging how dangerous it is, I have a deep love and fascination with the ocean. That said, Umibozu is freaking terrifying. This Japanese spirit comes out of the ocean depths and often appears over tidal waves before ships out at sea. The black, unfeeling silhouette of this thing would convince me to never set foot on a ship ever again, and probably even avoid lakes and baths just to be on the safe side. Showers only from here on out. The stories supposedly go that these are the vengeful spirits of drowned priests that will sink or capsize ships that it comes across. However, much like a lot of other Japanese ghost stories, there does exist a fairly comedic way to escape it. You just have to give it a bucket or barrel with no bottom, and you can escape while it just sits there, confused as to why it can't fill it up. Frankly, I think the DemiKids design is already dang near perfect. It features the tidal wave and blank, unfeeling eyes staring from a bald, shadowy head. In fact, it already seems to match ancient artwork of the creatures, so I think any design from Doi or another artist would probably be pretty similar in scope. And lastly, let's have a little fun with this one. Persona. Yeah, obviously we all know Persona from, well, Persona, where it exists as a concept and an established gameplay mechanic, but the only time Persona has appeared as an actual demon is in DemiKids. We've seen Shadow as a demon in several other games, distinguishing itself from the concept of shadows in the Persona series, despite them having the same origins in the studies of Carl Jung. Obviously, I think with the success of the Persona series at this point, it's very unlikely that we'll ever see a game introducing a new design of Persona as a demon, but again, I just thought it was a funny little bit of trivia and a neat way to wrap up this video. Alright, so there we go, 10 DemiKids exclusive demons that I think would be neato burrito to see in other entries in the franchise. Did any of these sound good to you? Can you think of any DemiKids exclusive demons that you'd want to see? Truthfully, I've already got 10 more picked out for another video, so please let me know in the comments if that's something you'd like to see. You all seem to enjoy it when I talk about demons or myths like this, and I love talking about it, so I thought this would be a fun way to look at some additional figures. Thank you so much for watching this video, I really appreciate it, and until next time, take care.